G'day guys, it's Tim here. Today we're talking 10 things that you can do to kickstart your financial goals with the new financial year just around the corner. So obviously we've got 7 days to go, or maybe just a little bit more than 7 days to go, and we're going to be in the brand new financial year. Now this is obviously a big time where people start to sit down and reassess, and the goals that maybe they would have set for themselves at the beginning of the year, they start to get really serious about, and obviously doing everything that we can do so that you can achieve those goals, or certainly get on the path before the end of the financial year. So there's 10 things that I think are absolutely critical that you're going to need to do to get those financial goals on track. The first thing, number one, is you've got to have some financial goals, right? And you've got to know what they are. You've got to sit down and write them down. Now, for many people, they've never actually done this. Sit down and look at, what do you want your life to look like? Okay, if you were going to be financially satisfied in your life, what would your life look like? Let's talk about the kind of places that you'll be living, the kind of car that you'll be driving, the kind of travel that you might be doing, the kind of lifestyle that you're living, the kind of difference that you're making with charities or charitable projects, and of course the kind of hobbies and interests. What are you going to be doing? How are you going to be spending your time? What are you going to be spending your time on? Okay, so if you don't have any financial goals, I mean, one of the things that one of my mentors used to say to me is the most powerful intercontinental ballistic missile in the world is useless without a guidance system. So if you haven't got something to aim for, you're never, ever, ever going to even get started on your plan. So sit down, write down your goals. If you've done it before, sit down, rewrite them, reassess. Maybe they've changed. Okay, so that's the place to start. The next thing for me is this. I think it's a really good idea to write down your personal statement. So write down not only where your goals are, because that's going to be the mission and what you're aiming for, but write down what your values are. Like, what are the kinds of ethics and values that you're going to seek out in other people, or look to, or it's how you're going to go about fulfilling on your goals. There's certain things that you may not want to do, certain things that you're willing to do, certain things that you're not willing to do. If you're not clear about your values, as you start to go through, look, no one ever on this planet ever achieved anything great without the help of other people. You're going to need other people, and these values are going to come very important as you're starting to approach and work with other people. There are people out there that I simply will not work with, despite the fact that they're super successful and make a lot of money. There's people I simply won't work with because they just don't have the same values as me. Okay? So once you got clear about your goals, once you're clear about the kind of values and how you're going to go about fulfilling on the goals, the next thing you've got to do is invest in yourself. You've got to go and get educated. Now, there are plenty of resources out there, whether it be like seminars, books, tapes, audio books. The amount of books that are out there nowadays on success, wealth building, you've got to start educating yourself. I mean, we're not built with the tools to fulfill on our financial goals. Most of the time, the way that we think about money is also to do with our parents. So, that's how we're taught about money. If you keep taking the same actions using the same information, you're going to keep on producing the same result. You've got to open your mind and expand yourself. So you've got to invest in yourself. Another thing that I think is really important as well, certainly if you can, you've got to get yourself a mentor. Probably the single best piece of advice I've ever been given in my entire life was only listen to people who are where you want to be. You've got to find someone who is where you want to be. Find someone who utilizes the same values in you, and then grab onto them, okay? Now, sometimes this is hard because you've got to make it worth their while to take you under their wing. Okay, so exuding the same values as them. Look, most people want to pass on their information. So providing you're operating with the same values, I think you'll find people are willing to either take you under their wing and pass on their information. Most people that are successful just want other people to have it too, okay? So find yourself a mentor. Now that you've educated yourself, now that you've got more information from your mentor, the next thing that there is to do is to actually create a plan, okay? This is probably the single biggest thing. The majority of people in Australia don't make it financially. The number one reason is because they don't have a plan. Okay, so you've got to start to have a plan about how you're going to get from where you are now, where you're starting from, to your financial goals. Another great piece of information, one of my mentors used to say to me was, he used to ask me the question, how do you eat an elephant? The answer is one bite at a time. Okay, so you've got to know what steps that you're going to need to take to actually have you fulfill on your goals. Okay, the next thing, and this is, this might be a little bit contentious out there, but certainly in my experience, okay, a lot of people talk about things like multitasking, the ability to do multiple things at once. I've done a lot of study in the area of neuroscience, and I've done it with organisations like the Harvard School of Business. So we're talking about people that actually really know what they're talking about. Multitasking is a myth, okay? You cannot ever focus on anything more than one thing at a time. Normally what we try to do is we actually dilute our focus by having multiple things that we're thinking about, working on, dealing with at any one time. This is always going to limit your power. I mean, think about the analogy. I don't know if anyone used to do this as a kid, but think about the magnifying glass. The sun coming through the magnifying glass. When you focused that magnifying glass on one point, you could set fire to stuff. Okay? Same has got to be with you. Once you've got your plan, you've got to be focused. You've got to do everything in your life to eliminate the distractions around you so that you can focus every bit of energy you've got on building your life and having it be in a way that is going to allow you to fulfill on your goals. Okay? From this point on, you now want to start to get really aware of your thoughts. Okay? Now, these thoughts are things that we've been picked up, patterns that have been built into our brain. We often pick them up from things like our school, our education, our religion, our culture, the country that we grew up in, the suburb that we grew up in, our parents, our friends, our family. And what often happens is we'll get patterns built into our brain of certain thought processes. You know, some people think they're not worthy. Some people think they're not good enough. Some people think that they need to be proactive. Now, it doesn't really matter what the thoughts are, but you've got to start being aware about the thoughts that you have. Ultimately, thoughts are going to alter the way that you immediately react to situations, okay? So the kind of thoughts that you're having will determine the kind of actions that you're going to take. Once you're able to distinguish and become aware of those thoughts that you're having, you want to then start to retrain your brain, okay? So rather than thinking, and most people, you know, we're an animal. The number one function of our brain is that of survival, where we naturally think about scarcity, okay? You want to start to build thought processes around abundance, opportunity, positivity, optimism. Once again, as you start to build this kind of mindset, it's going to impact the actions that you immediately take, those things that you're going to do instinctually, okay? I would then foster and communicate and continue to build an environment that is beneficial to that. So start to, you know, look, maybe you've got friends, family members that are quite negative, friends or family members that live in a world of scarcity, friends and family members that are victims, are not responsible, are negative. You want to start to remove those people from your life. Now, some people might think that this is a bit, you know, full on. I mean, friends, family members, maybe they've been around for a long time. Look, you don't have to, but the simple fact is that who you are is the sum of your environment. And this not only refers to things like friends, family members, it also refers to things like your workspace, your home space, your car space, all that kind of stuff. My entire life is built with an environment that's going to produce the results that I want to produce. I don't have anything in my life that is going to be detrimental or is going to take my focus away from achieving my goals. Then another thing that I want to talk about, and this is more probably this is more about how I manage my life, okay? So we're all busy, okay? We've all got lots of things that are vying for our attention, okay? So the way that I manage everything that I've got to do is, look, I do, to some extent, you could say I use a to-do list, but I use my to-do list in a very particular kind of way. I actually have 3 to-do lists, okay? I have a what I'm doing now list. I have what I'm not doing now, and I also have what I'm never doing now. Now, how do I utilize those? Okay, whenever I have a thought, an idea about something I want to do, it immediately goes into my doing now, because in my doing now list, that's something that I'm addressing on a daily basis. I look at my to-do list on a daily basis, and then I'll decide where that task is going to go from there. For items I'm going to do today, they're going to stay on that list. For items that I'm not even going to think about until next week, I move them into my not doing now list. For items that I'm not even going to even think about for another month, I move them into my never doing now list. The reason for this, once again, it comes back to the focus that we were talking about. The more things that you have to deal with every single day, even if it's just one to-do list and you've got like 20, 30 items on that to-do list, it will dilute your focus. It will take your attention away. So I only ever want to be thinking about what I need to be thinking about in that very moment. And this is a system that allows me to manage this. I might even come back into a Facebook Live in more detail about the system and the structure that I use. And it's the system and structure that I use, you know, from one of my mentors that taught me how to do this. But like I said, it's about in any one moment of time being fully present, fully available, so I can focus all of my attention on what I'm doing at that very moment. This also works hand in hand with my emails, my messages, and my calendar. Once again, if I will only ever have one thing in one place. If it's not in my list, it's in my calendar. If I have a message, if it's nothing I need to do, I delete it. If you saw my phone, most people probably have thousands of messages. I probably only ever have 2 or 3 at any one time. But like I said, I might come back. That's probably a subject for a different Facebook Live. But certainly, guys, these are the 10 things that you want to have you focus on if you want to kickstart your financial goals heading into the new year. Guys, thanks for being on the Facebook Live. If you've got any comments or questions, please leave them on the boxes below. If you've got subjects that you want me to talk about in any more detail, please leave them on the comments below or message the Infinite Wealth Facebook page, and we'll see what we can do about doing something that for you. Guys, have a great day. Look forward to speaking to you next time.